We'll just wait about another like 30 seconds or so till the top of the hour. Let people join. Cool, so we're just waiting a few minutes to let some more people join. Awesome. I think we can get started. So thanks everyone for joining. Maybe we'll do quick intros really briefly, if that's okay. So Benjol's from Pump Science, and then we've got Alex Dobrin and Alex Milowski on the call from VitaDAO. If you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Yeah, I can start. So hello everyone. I'm one of the Web3 co-leads in VitaDAO and also VitaDAO Guardian, and been with VitaDAO since the genesis. Alex?
Yeah, hello everyone. Thanks for joining. I'm the other co-lead of the Web3 pod alongside the other Alex, and I'm currently also the interim lead for the longevity pod, especially co-leading alongside Maria Marinova the development of Vita Labs.
Awesome. So yeah, thanks to everyone so much for joining. To give a bit of background on what this call is about. So back in, I think, 2022, VitaDAO launched something called the Longevity Prize, and that was basically a call for longevity interventions to be tested at Aura Biomedical, which runs the worm experiments for Pump Science now. And so when Pump Science launched with the two compounds, we wanted to figure out what is the next set of compounds we should launch. And we thought it would be great if we could launch together with VitaDAO the compounds that were submitted from the Longevity Prize. So the Longevity Prize was 100 different interventions that were tested, and the data is about to be complete. And so we wanted to enable the community to be the devs for those compounds that get launched. So for the next, Euro and Riffs, so to speak, as we start to make Pump Science more of a platform where anybody can launch longevity compounds, we wanted to open up that next phase. And so we're doing kind of like a permissioned launch for the next set with a bunch of members in the community. So this is kind of that opportunity is, this is the ability to become a dev for one of the compounds launched as part of the Longevity Prize on Pump Science as a new token. So yeah, this deck, in this deck and presentation, what we're going to do is go through like very briefly what Pump Science is, what our plan is for the next launch of compounds, what is the job of the drug dev if you were to sign up for it, and then what are the benefits of participating, and then next steps if you're interested and want to apply. Cool. So briefly, what is Pump Science? Pump Science is a protocol to de-risk longevity compounds and get them to people as fast as possible in the safest way possible. So what we want to figure out is how do we take some longevity scientist's idea and prove that it works on different model organisms, and so that we can hopefully productize it and get it to people as fast as possible. We want to help move longevity science as fast as possible and leverage crypto to do so. So yeah, just going through these different bullet points. Pump Science is a protocol to fundraise, launch, and stream longevity experiments. It enables interventions to progress all the way through commercialization by testing their impact on lifespan for different animals. The funding is gathered from trading fees. So we can get into the specifics of that in a bit, but the idea is we enable normal crypto traders to do what they love doing, which is trading tokens, and in the process, capture fees that then fund the actual research and progress the compounds through the pipeline. And yeah, if sufficient trading fees are gathered, then you can unlock the next experiment. And so the goal is ultimately to get life-extending interventions in the hands of people so they can commercialize them. Cool. So how does it work? So basically, the long-term goal is for any longevity scientist to be able to submit a compound or intervention if it's multiple compounds. But the idea is you submit your intervention, you say, what's the name, what dosage do I want to test it at, provide an image or a GIF, and give it a ticker, as well as a description that explains to people why this intervention is something that they should get excited about. And then what happens is it launches a token associated with that intervention on a bonding curve. A bonding curve is basically a token market where people can buy up some of the new tokens that have been launched, and it provides initial liquidity so that people can trade. So if people are familiar with Pump Fund, our bonding curve is designed extremely similarly to theirs. So 80% of the tokens in that compound that's launched are issued on that bonding curve. And as soon as the market cap or the value of all the tokens combined is 302 SOL, then the token graduates. And so what that means is the worm experiments get funded. So now the trading on the bonding curve has now funded the first experiment, which is testing longevity on worms. So in this process, 85 SOL of funding is captured. And by SOL, I mean like Solana tokens. 3 of those SOL go to pay for the experiment. 82 SOL go to a subsequent market so that trading can be more efficient when there's more liquidity, when there's sufficient liquidity. And 5% of the project tokens, so the tokens in the intervention, go to the most loyal PumpScience users. So right now, this would be current holders of RIF and Euro. So of all of the tokens, 80% are fair launched on the bonding curve. 5% go to previous token holders and like the most loyal users of PumpScience, and 15% go into this automated market. And so this whole process happens automatically. And this is the basic like fundraising protocol, so to speak. Once the tokens are here on this automated market maker, there's a small fee. It's a 0.25% fee that people are already paying to like trade tokens on Radium or Meteora. And it's from those fees that subsequent research is funded. Alex, are we getting any questions in the chat so far? I just wanted to stop here for a second before we make moves. If not, we'll keep going.
Yeah, we can go.
Cool. So what is the first experiment? We go, cool. So what's the first experiment that gets run? The first experiment is on C. elegans, or these tiny nematode worms. They, in each one of these wells, you can fit about 30 of these worms. And then what we do is we put whatever intervention was submitted into the wells with the worms to test to see whether the compound actually extends lifespan in those worms. And so Aura Biomedical has developed this device called the WormBot, which takes images periodically of the worms and basically is trying to detect with a computer vision with AI to see have the worms stopped moving for an extended period of time, basically to predict are they dead or alive. So just from the images alone, they can determine the lifespan of the worms. And so in a completely automated way, we can see whether the intervention extends longevity. So yeah, basically the drug or control is dropped into the wells, images are captured on a periodic basis, and then you can develop these survival curves that determine whether or not the intervention actually extends life. It takes about 20 to 30 days to conduct this experiment and costs about $500. This is why this is kind of like level 1 of the game, because it's the one of the fastest ways to get really high quality data on whether or not an intervention may extend lifespan. So, worms are not people, but it's a really, really good, fast data point. So once the experiment has begun, now users can basically come to PumpScience and see in real time, as the data is being read out, whether or not the experiment or the intervention seems to be extending life. So there's various different data points that we capture, and users can see all of it and make trading decisions based off of the data that they see. Cool. So once the worm experiments are completed, now it becomes a question of, have enough trading fees been collected in order to pay for subsequent experiments? So rather than calculate all of those fees, which is kind of like, it's not tracked by users, what users are looking at is the market cap. So what we've calculated is, if the market cap of the token could reach $500,000 for a period of, I think it's like 1 week, then we can fund the next experiment, which is in flies. The following goes for, or the same goes for mice. So if the token can reach a $20 million market cap, then we should expect enough fees in the market to pay for mouse studies. And then the final test is humans. So at about 100 million market cap, we can get enough fees to pay for a human trial, where we actually test whether the compound has a benefit on longevity biomarkers in humans. So this is the ultimate goal, to commercialize the compound, right? So we've started to do this with like urolithin A, where we have found a manufacturer who is willing to produce it for us and is willing to give royalties to the token holders in the form of buyback and burn. So this governance proposal is up right now. If you check out the latest Pump Science tweet, you can see this. But yeah, this is the end goal, right? Like ultimately, testing on all of the animals is a means to creating a product for people that's evidence backed. It's backed by like all of the animals, and ideally human testing as well. Yeah, what makes these tokens have utility rather than just being pure meme coins is the goal is to associate them with a physical product that people can buy, and that interacts with the token and rewards token holders. Alex, are we getting any questions? Okay, I see
Yeah.
a good question here,
Yeah, this
which
one.
is, if the experiment is funded by trading fees, who holds the potential IP generated in subsequent experiments in worms, flies, mice, etc.? Probably some people just want to hodl it. So the IP is owned by whoever submits the compound. In the case of the longevity prize, the IP is actually held by VitaDAO, but the long-term goal is for whoever has the idea holds the IP, and they enable all of the token holders to govern that IP. So I hope that makes sense. So it's like decentralized governance of the IP, but the inventor, whoever's, it's their idea, so it's their IP. And if they want to patent that, they absolutely can. Nobody's stopping them, but the platform recognizes that they're the inventor. Cool. Awesome. Cool. So this kind of just gives some data on the initial launch of PumpScience. So we launched 2 tokens, RIF, which represents rifampicin, and Euro, which represents urolithin A, and the market caps that they reached at their peak. They also reached pretty high significant volumes. And the platform, basically went from 0 in September to having 56,000 followers, 17,000 Telegram members, and there've been over 1,000 cocktail submissions. So it's really from this data that we've decided to really open up the platform and continue to build on it. just showing that, at least this is getting some attention from the crypto community. So this is no longer a crazy idea. It's now somewhat validated by these initial launches. Cool. And not only is DeSci and PumpScience getting the attention of the crypto community, but also of like key opinion leaders in the space. So CZ and Vitalik are super excited about DeSci. And so, we want to leverage their excitement to basically spread DeSci as much as possible. And yeah, like the goal is for everyone to be able to contribute to the DeSci space. Ultimately, DeSci isn't decentralized unless there's a lot of people involved. And so we want to really create this next layer of engagement for individuals to participate and add value. Cool. So what is the plan for the next compounds? So kind of as mentioned before, the longevity prize is a set of 100 compounds that were submitted as part of this program and were submitted to VitaDAO. VitaDAO holds the IP for these different compounds, but we want to enable anyone to be a dev for the token and lead these individual compounds and interventions. So here are some examples of some of the interventions that were submitted. Some of you may recognize some of these names. Some of them are, simple and like very well known, like caffeine. Others are maybe more or less well understood. Things like oxaloacetic acid and glycine. So there's kind of a broad range in terms of familiarity, but also likely in terms of efficacy. So we're going to enable people who are interested in being devs to kind of rank order which interventions they are the most exciting to them. And we'll basically kind of match dev to intervention based on their interest. Cool, just seeing if there's any more questions. So the exact number of compounds that will be released is still, we're still figuring out the exact details there. There will be much more than one compound that's released in February. The number will likely be between about 10 and 100. We're still waiting to get the data back from Aura, on how many compounds that they can service. So, the goal of PumpScience is to be a platform for launching many longevity experiments. And so that's why there's more than one being launched. There will probably be somewhere between 10 and 100. And we think that this will really showcase the power of the platform. Just adding Jillian to the stage. Hi, Jillian.
Hey, fam. Can you guys hear me okay?
Perfectly.
All right.
Cool. So, yep, DeSci wants you to get involved, to lead these compounds, and to take DeSci to the next level. So our target launch date for the... Wait, Jillian, I'm just going to mute you. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry. I was hitting up some stuff in the Telegram. I'm letting them know we'll answer question.
You're all good. So our target launch date is February 3rd. And so between now and then, we'll do the selection process of the drug devs, and you can apply and share your interest with us, and we will accept applications and make decisions well before this date so that people can get ready for the launch of the experiments. Cool. So what is the job of a drug dev? So I think the first piece is the strategic and operational leadership. By being the dev for the compound, you are basically responsible for its success, right? And so what this means is people understand the vision, they understand the scientific goals, they understand the commercial goals. It's important to ensure that all partnerships are kind of secured, basically with each of the different contract research labs, that all of the contracts are signed. There's just several operational things that the drug dev should be on top of. Our goal as the PumpScience team is to automate and run the operations of the scientific experiments as much as possible. But it's just important that the drug devs make sure that it's all done in a timely manner. Cool. The next piece is awareness and marketing. So, creating a social media profile and Telegram for the community, posting papers and evidence that attracts the scientists. Not only are we trying to capture the attention of the crypto community, but also the scientific community by showing legitimacy from a scientific perspective on social media accounts. We're going to be able to attract more scientists into the DeSci space. And so it's important that people understand, these are more than meme coins. These are tokens that represent compounds that may have, life extension benefits, and that's the reason for the project ultimately. Cool. Another piece is the community retention and engagement. So, not only is it about creating content, but it's also about engaging with the community themselves. So, this is obviously like, more of an art than a science, but, developing culture within a community is key. Creating memes that are shared amongst the community, inside jokes, and capturing people's attention really is the ultimate goal. One of the important pieces that differentiates, crypto from maybe traditional science is that you're playing in the attention economy. As DeSci, we are competing for the same eyes in many ways as meme coins, right? And other things that are, much more attention grabby. So we have to compete and show them that this is cooler and more fun. And so it'll be the job of the drug dev to, help kind of carry that torch. So some other like operational things when it comes to being a drug dev is hiring moderators for Telegram. So when you create a Telegram channel for your project, there's obviously going to be lots of spam. One thing is for sure in crypto is there's lots of scams and lots of spam that needs to be moderated. And so making sure that there are moderators in the Telegram to make sure that, the proper scams get filtered out is important. It's kind of like gardening, you kind of have to, as the plants grow, so do the weeds. And so you just got to trim the weeds as well. And also, yeah, just keeping people engaged by posting in Twitter and Telegram about your intervention, keeping people reminded that the experiments are going, when data release is coming out, getting people excited about it. And then also, yeah, just creating memes that generate engagement and virality. Cool. So what are the benefits of participating? Like why, a lot is being asked, what are you getting in return? So VitaDAO has basically approved to purchase $50 of the initial token supply, where you can keep half. So if you end up becoming a drug dev, you can keep $25 of those initially purchased tokens that are subsidized by VitaDAO. In addition, you'll receive a bio airdrop. So this will have a vesting period associated with it, but it's yet another incentive to participate. So the bio token is part of bio protocol for those of you that aren't super familiar, and it just went live on Binance, I think last week. Cool. So yeah, what can you learn and like actually get out of this? So what being a drug dev is, marketing and community management. We think this is an incredible skill that lots of people could benefit from, and is, it's certainly part of the job. And, it's not necessarily that it's needed to have this experience beforehand, but it's something that one must learn if they're to take on this role. Another is learning crypto and tokenomics. For those of you that come from the science side of things rather than the crypto side, this is an opportunity to understand how crypto economics works, which, it scares away a lot of people, but is actually very interesting once you get in the weeds and learn about it. And we're happy to help explain and get the right people to educate the drug devs as well. Another is practicing scientific communication. Clearly, not all of the crypto community is super well versed in the science. And so it becomes the job of the drug dev to kind of break down the science and make it very accessible to the average person who isn't necessarily a scientist. And we think this is a super valuable skill that people may benefit from. What you'll also get to do is make commercial deals. So Molecule will be, or Pump Science will be coordinating between the labs and to make sure that the experiments get going, but it's up to the drug dev to secure a deal with a manufacturer. So what this means is making sure that your intervention can become a product. That's the job of the drug dev as well. And so we think this is an exciting opportunity as well for drug devs. And then the last piece, which you kind of mentioned before, is learning to play in the attention economy. Ultimately, in order for the project to be successful, you have to capture the attention of a lot of people, right? And this comes from social media and memes and the data itself, right? There's a lot of components that are required to win here, but we want to enable people to play the game and, and do their best to win. Guess I want to stop here for any questions.
Yeah, looks like we have a couple. I can show them here. Yeah, they're
cool. Question from Tim. Sorry, detailed question. How does the real world drug connect to the tokens? This is a key topic such that the tokens aren't just meme coins to avoid people getting rugged. In Euro's case, you said 5% of the royalties will go to token holders. What enforces this and how will sales be audited? This is a great question. So the way that the token associates with the product is kind of, as you mentioned, in the form of royalties. So it's not 5% in the case of Euro, it's 15%. So 15% of the revenue that goes to the Eurolithin purchases will go to token holders in the form of a buyback and burn if the governance if the governance proposal is approved. So what enforces this right now is just trust. Trust right now is required to enforce this, but all of the transactions are on chain. So right now we're keeping track and we can make this data available to users. All of the sales right now are on chain. And so you can see exactly how much in sales have been captured. And we will be able to show exactly how many tokens have been bought back and burned. So there will be, so the execution right now will be on a trust basis, but all of the data will be completely transparent because all the transactions are on chain. It is our goal to automate this entire process so that it is completely trustless. But in the kind of spirit of moving as fast as possible and developing the pumpscience platform, we've decided to work on getting experiments online and building the protocol prior to working on royalty enforcement. But that's absolutely something on the roadmap, and all of the data will be transparent for the time being.
All right, I'll pull up another one here.
Yeah, from Creephead. Cool. Creephead asks, what is the role of Riff and Euro considering there will be many tokens in the future? Will they be different comparing to these new tokens that will be launched in the future? So the role of Riff and Euro are super important going forward because they will determine future airdrops. So the way that the protocol works is 5% of the token supply of any new token launched is granted in the form of an airdrop to previous token holders on PumpScience. So up until this point, up until February 3rd, only Riff and Euro were launched on PumpScience. So those token holders will probably, they will receive they'll receive all of the future tokens that get dropped as part of this first launch. But that may change in the future. So once tokens go live on PumpScience, then there's the possibility that new tokens become valuable, right? So really the game that we want traders playing is to find the highest quality compounds that get launched. And the more tokens that they hold in valuable compounds launched on PumpScience, the more they'll get airdropped future tokens. So that's kind of what keeps people coming back to the platform and getting excited about future launches is they will receive airdrops based on their previous holdings, and that's proportional to the value of the tokens that they hold. Hope that makes sense. And thanks so much for the question. Who's running these experiments for us? So at the moment, it is Aura Biomedical who's running the worm experiments. They're a biotech company based in Seattle. in Washington in the US. So they're running the worm experiments. The fly experiments are being run by Tract Biotechnologies, and they're also running the mice experiments as well. And they're based in Manassas, which is in Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C., also in the US. Who's running the human experiments? That will be, it's called Pulse. And Pulse is a wearable device that's native to Solana. And so in order to participate in those studies, you will need to get a Pulse device. We're also looking at other like potentially blood-based tests to run as part of these studies as well. A lot of scientists and longevity experts have suggested that we do blood-based testing. Those tests are expensive, so we're going to have to kind of negotiate there and look case by case. And we also want this to be as accessible as possible. So it's to be determined whether we'll do blood-based testing. And right now, we're just going to probably start with a wearable device. Hope that answers the question. Also important that a lot of this is subject to change, but this is the kind of protocol that we're starting out with. Some compounds some compounds are already investigated and patented by scientists. For instance, alpha-ketoglutarate is investigated by the Brian Kennedy lab. Is PumpScience also run those compounds, or what's your take? It's a good question. So I'm not sure if alpha-ketoglutarate is patentable, only because it's a natural compound. And so I can't speak to that particular compound. It may be being investigated by a different lab, but it doesn't mean we can't study and productize it as well, because it is it's a natural compound. So the idea with the IP that's native to PumpScience is that the person who submits the compound is considered the inventor, and all of the data that's generated on platform is the IP that is shared by the token holders, but owned by the drug dev, the submitter, right? So yeah, I guess our take is it is our goal to find the best longevity compounds. We will do our best to preserve the IP that's generated on platform and make sure it goes to token holders, and that's what makes the tokens themselves valuable. So I can't speak. So just reading the question here, which is, do you think the market caps of the 100 tokens released in February will perform the same as Riff and Euro? It's a great question. We hope they do better than Riff and Euro, but we'll have to see, right? And it's up to all of us to get the word out about PumpScience and make it explode for that to happen. So all of our interests are aligned here. We all want them to not only do as well as Riff and Euro, but do even better. But it will certainly take like a group effort to make that happen.
Yeah, and I think this also goes to the important role of the drug dev, right? Like helping to champion these individual compound tokens. So, for us to reach, these market cap goals, it'll take everybody, like Benji said. I think we got one more.
Will those who are listening to you right now have any advantage? Please let there be one. So for everyone listening, that's a good point. Maybe what we can do right now, Jillian, if you don't mind, is post the type form directly into the chat. Do you have a link to that?
Let me see if I got it handy.
Here, I'll send it to you in Discord so that those who are on the call get first dibs to be a drug dev.
You got it.
So let me just get that link prepared.
Yeah, and I think that, to Benji's point, the advantage here is information, right? Like everyone on this call is learning about the drug dev opportunity, the role that they can play in PumpScience. So we'll get you this list and make sure to fill out the type form. But I think being here and knowing about this opportunity is certainly a benefit. But we'll get you guys all on this list.
Cool. I just sent it through in Discord, Jillian, if you want to post it so that
On it.
cool.
You got it.
Awesome. Cool. So in terms of financial incentives to participate, Jillian, do you mind?
Sorry, gosh, the worst.
You're all good. So this $25 worth of tokens that's subsidized by VitaDAO that goes to the drug dev, what is that actually worth? Is it just worth $25? So we did the math in terms of what that would have been worth for RIF in Euro had that purchase of initial tokens been executed. So what it does is it purchases up 0.4% of the token supply. For RIF, that would have been $1 million in USD value. And this is a typo, but 0.4% of Euro would have been worth 700,000 at its peak. So this isn't to say, we don't know what the future tokens will be worth, but we do know what they would have been worth for the previous tokens. And those are these values. Cool. So to participate in this next token launch will require signing a contract with VitaDAO. And the reason for that is because they're executing this, or they're subsidizing the purchase of these initial tokens, and they're expecting half of those tokens be sent to them because they own the IP. They actually funded these experiments initially. So there will be a contract, so like a legal contract that's associated with participating in this program. And so just making that clear up front for those who weren't aware. Jillian, just make sure, okay, you shared in the chat. Okay, so the question is, will these coins be launching on Pump Fund? They will not be launching on Pump Fund. They'll be launching natively to pumpscience. So we're developing our own protocol similar to Pump Fund that enables fees to be captured and go to the science, right? So the thing with Pump Fund is that the LP tokens get burned, so nobody gets any fees as part of the token trading. And so this is what we want to actually fund the science, is those trading fees. So to enable that to happen, we had to create our own kind of contracts and smart contract protocol. And so they will not be launching on Pump Fund. They'll be launching natively to pumpscience. That's a good question. Jillian, just wanted to make sure that the link also gets shared in Twitter, not just YouTube.
Yep, just posted it over there. You guys should see, if you click into the stream, into the actual stream link, you'll see it over in the chat. So it is there as well.
Awesome. Cool. So next steps. So come on. Are you ready? Cool. So Jillian just shared the link to the Typeform, which is now on Twitter and on YouTube for those streaming. Please fill that out in the next, ideally by the end of the day tomorrow. So yeah, the end of January 8th, we ask that you fill out that Typeform. We've already had a few applications, but this is the only way that we'll know that you're interested in being a drug dev. 2 days later, we'll select those who have been, or we'll reach out to those who have been selected for an interview. We'll spend the next week doing interviews and making final selections on who the list of drug devs will be. Between the 20th, January 20th, and the launch, which is scheduled now for February 3rd, will be contract signing and launch preparation. So you'll be assigned to an intervention, and you'll be able to start creating the socials for that account, registering that with us so we can help you get the word out about your social account and start developing your community prior to the interventions and experiments getting launched. And then starting February 3rd, we're going to batch the launches, likely every, or 25 per week. It depends on how many compounds we end up doing, but it will be over a period of 4 weeks, likely through February. We'll batch the launches. So yeah, basically every week for 4 weeks, a certain number of the projects will get launched, and off they go, and to Valhalla we go. So yeah, that's basically all we had. And I hope that the program makes sense. Hope people are excited about it. We're certainly excited about getting the community involved. But yeah, I guess we'll stop there and take any last questions. But yeah, thanks to everyone so much for your attention. I hope this is exciting to you. And yeah, please apply through the type form if you'd like to join. But any other words from the Alexes or from Jillian, things that I missed or questions you wanted to get across?
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd share is we're super excited to invite the community in to do this. I think, having seen the community that's rallied around Riff and Euro, it's for PhD gens, it's just such an awesome opportunity. And yeah, I think it'll be really the great next step to invite in even more community into the pump science movement. So excited to bring you guys in, excited to have you guys champion these next token compounds. And yeah, help us grow this movement together. I will say I shared the link in the YouTube channel, the Pump Science Twitter stream, and then also in the VitaDAO Twitter stream. So if you have any issues finding it, just drop a comment wherever you are and we'll get you the form.
Awesome. And then somebody asked if we already applied, do we need to apply again? No, you just need to apply one time. As long as you have filled out this form, you're good to go. Cool. Any last words from Alex's before we close it out?
No, I'm super excited for this, and I think if anyone has any question, we'll create a channel VitaDAO pump.science in our Discord for any questions. We'll post the form and so on, and keep the community updated.
Awesome. Well, with that, guys, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate the attention and the excitement about this. We are fired up. It's about to be a crazy month for Pump Science and VitaDAO, and we think that this is going to be a really, really cool launch that will change longevity science forever. So hop in, and yeah, thanks for everything.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Cool. So with that, we'll close it out, and we'll see you guys on the other side.
See ya.
Valhalla.